Hey all, we got a really special one today. A longtime friend of mine and a racer that you guys probably recognize. I have with me today Baily Cole.
Hey guys.
The Baily Cole. I've known Baily since he was never that tall. He was like taller than me the day I met him when he was 4 or whatever it was. So Baily.
Yep.
When did we meet? Like 2004, 5?
It had to have been 2000. Yeah, right around there.
4 or 5. It was right at or about the time your dad won the championship.
I think that was 2006.
Was it?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter, but it was.
I've slept once or twice since then.
Yeah, it was a while ago. And so I remember. I think we should just address the elephant in the room. Baily Cole, Dave Cole's son. Dave Cole owns King of the Hammers. But the one thing you need to know is Baily Cole is Baily Cole. He's his own man. We love his dad, and he's my best friend. But I watched Baily grow from taller than me, but way taller than me now, to a real racer and a great man. So I just want to introduce you to the Baily Cole.
Definitely not me still, but I appreciate it.
So I remember you going with us to the races when I was spotting and driving with your dad and
Yeah.
endless games of 20 questions.
Oh, so many games of 20 questions.
The best one ever. What was the best one ever that I came up with that you never got?
Oh, I don't know. I've slept since then again.
It's an oar.
It's an oar?
Not a paddle, but an oar.
Oh, yeah.
And it was good. That was on the way back from Reno. That was hours.
I think that was probably 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, that was hours.
I don't even think I knew what an oar was back then.
Probably not, but it was good, yeah. Okay. So Baily.
My favorite was, it might have been a similar trip, but we passed a freeway sign for a town, I thought, JCT. Junction. That one also went on for hours.
The JCT, I've been there before.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's see, there was another one. I don't think you ever bought it, but when we would pass the windmills in Palm Springs,
Okay.
we would always harass you. That's why the wind blows, because they turn the fans on. Mm-hmm. I don't think you ever bought it, but you played along.
Yeah. Smile and wave.
So Baily would go with us to these rock crawls, and I remember we went to Donner. That's the one it was coming back from, Donner. And I don't know where you'd disappear all day, but you'd go watch RC. You'd have your RC car, and you'd go watch other people and all that stuff.
I think that was right when I first started to compete, too, with my RC car.
Yes, you were.
Mm-hmm.
That may be, yeah. You were only like 9, though.
Yeah. I didn't do very well back then.
You did, though.
Fun.
That's the thing, right? Doing well is not necessarily a good start. Doing is a good start, right?
Was I mean to you the same way I was mean to Brian Ellinger?
Not mean.
Okay, because I remember...
Very honest.
Okay. As a kid, I remember being at Donner and sitting... You know how that was back when Little Rich was making the courses, and he would do just...
Yeah, they were death-defying.
Just off the side of the mountain. And I would take my little Hot Wheel car and go dink and just watch it roll like 97 times and be like, don't do that.
No, I remember you didn't like my Diet Coke habit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You need to drink water, Wayne. That's a lot of that, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you were very honest.
Not much has changed.
You don't like my Diet Coke habit?
I know,
it's significantly reduced, by the way.
Much reduced.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So
you're drinking water now.
I hate that shit. Anyway, okay, yeah. Anyway, so what we did was Dave and I were competing in the Pro Mod class, if I remember, and I think your dad was driving, and I was spotting. And I think we both took turns. Anyway, and I remember a couple of times where we were like, what should we do? Why should we here? And Baily, he's 9. Still taller than me, but short back then, and saying, why don't you go around this way or come in? And have them, we'd be like, okay. Yeah.
That was a lot of fun back then.
Yeah. So that was rock crawling. And
my favorite course ever, I think you were still spotting. I think it was like A3 maybe out here. I don't remember exactly.
Pro Rock, right?
I think so. Mm-hmm. And it was a course that nobody had gotten all
I remember the one. It was the last course of the day, too.
The last course of the day. And the car was having injector issues, I think.
Something was happening where it would pop and spit and sputter.
Yes.
Yes.
And pulled onto the course, and that happened, and the car died.
Oh, that was
And you guys
Cedar.
lost like 7 minutes.
Okay, that was Cedar City.
Okay, yes.
Yes, I remember.
And then,
that was the first time your dad heard me swear.
I believe it.
Yes.
Yes. And you did whatever, you did Wade Magic.
Put a new fuel pump in it.
Okay. In the 7 minutes.
I happened to have one in the bag, in the course.
Yep.
Because it wasn't legal to run out of the course and get a fuel pump, but I happened to have a fuel pump in the bag and tools inside the course, so it was okay to use. I think you got a penalty back then for that.
Okay.
And I went and got it, turned it in, put the fuel pump on, fired it up, and the car fired and ran it. Mm-hmm. And your dad said, "Oh, you tell the story, sorry."
Well, so I don't remember.
Yeah, tell the story because it'd
but
be interesting.
I don't think I've ever seen my dad drive a rock crawler as fast. If I remember right, that course had a lot of just up and down. All
Dean
kinds
Bullock
of
had just
ledges.
timed out.
Yes. And
Dean Bullock, who it's his home track.
And just racing, and then I watched you jumping from rock to rock, and it
back when I didn't weigh extra.
It was chaos, but I think you guys finished with like 15 seconds to spare.
So here's the way I remember it. It could be wrong, and you know it'd be great to have your dad here and this, but I don't have 2 mics, so another day. We pull on course, we like right, and it dies.
Dead. Yeah.
And I'm like, it started, nothing happened. I pull a fuel line off, or I think I hit the Schrader on the engine, and no fuel came out. A fuel pump, and I ran to the bag, I had one, could put it in, all that stuff in it, and we had like 4 minutes left on the course. Mm-hmm. And you only give you 10, and Dean had just, and your dad's like, we're done. And I told him, it's the first time you ever heard me say that after, we're not fucking giving away a course. And you go, and he drove that car, and he went up and around and one-shotted the one that Dean had failed on, and not that Dean failed, but he just couldn't make it, and he timed out having to try different things, and drove around, came around, and I was running the whole way trying to keep up with him to help him, but he didn't need me, he was just going. And I don't know that we had a great score, but we did finish that course. That was fun, yeah.
And I really think you guys were the only ones that finished that day.
I don't know about that, but I don't know about that.
Maybe?
Let's just say, it's just
like
us. It's 20 years ago, right? We don't care. Yeah, that was funny.
I remember it.
And the whole cause of the fuel pump was I left a blue paper towel in the fuel tank when we were.
We'll edit that part.
Nah, it's fine. Because later, when the spec cars came out, you know what I did?
What did you do?
I left another blue paper towel in a fuel tank.
Dang blue paper towels.
Yeah, so then whenever I have fuel problems, I start looking for blue paper towels.
Fair enough.
That's good. I did not remember that one. That car, that was good. We had the easy button on that car. It could sit on its sidewall. I remember your dad having to put it in reverse to go forward because the top of the tires were getting more traction, and so you had to turn the tire backward for it to go forward. It was crazy. It would side hill like nothing else. And
no, that car was silly.
Yeah, it was good. That was good times rock crawling. I miss them sometimes. So then we get to, Christmases. How many Christmases did we spend together?
So we've known each other for going on 19, 20
something
years
20-ish years, yeah.
And it's got to be 15 of
At
those
least,
years.
yeah. Lately we haven't been as good at it because we're all kind of gone our different ways, but
yeah,
it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun Christmases. Playing football after we've eaten all that, almost thrown up. That was not good.
No.
Remember the year.
You and my dad were always quarterbacks, and now I'm realizing it was because you
don't have to run.
Do all the running. It's way smarter than what I did.
No, that's just being old.
Just running in circles.
Do you remember the year Ben Napier sent us rugby socks, the great big long multicolored, and we all had to wear them?
Yes, I do.
You guys hated it. Oh, I found them all in a box. We had a water leak in the house, and I was cleaning up stuff so we could pull. So I found them all in a box. I'm like, I'm not going to throw these away. Yeah, I am. I threw them away. Sorry, Ben, I threw them away.
He'll send more.
No, he won't. Christmas
You
is
would
that was a
still
lot
wear
of fun.
them though, if he did.
I would. Yeah, absolutely. Why not? I have no shame. So that was rock crawling, and then we had family, and we became good friends and did some recreational rock crawling out here. And then we were working on I'll just tell you my view of it, and I want to hear your story, but I'm working on your dad's car with it one night, and he comes in late because I think he was working for the railroad. And he comes in and he's limping. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? He said, I did every hammer trail yesterday. I'm like, no, you didn't. No way. He's like, yeah, I want to do this thing where we race all the hammer trails. I said, nobody can do all the hammer trails in one day.
So this was rock crawler then.
This was rock crawler.
This was the Longfield car with still probably the easy shocks on it.
Probably, yes.
Yes.
And just to show me that he had done them, he had the GPS notes for the top and bottom of every trail, like that location, like the longitude, lat of each top of each trail. And so it was interesting to to listen to him and talk about it. And then we kept working on the car, and it was fine. Didn't think of anything. And then it had to be 2, 3, 4 weeks later. He called on a Wednesday and said, "What are you doing tomorrow?" I'm like, "Working. I don't know what." And he's like, "I got this thing going on. Bring your Jeep." I'm like, "My Jeep's in pieces. It ain't in the cabin tomorrow." And he's like, "Well, I got somebody who needs a midget that knows the hammers and is cool." I'm like, "Well, I know the hammers and I'm a midget. Cool. You're gonna have to look for somebody else." And he introduced me for Scott Ellinger, and that was kind of the birth of the King of the Hammers thing. So my question to you is, what is your view of the birth of the King of the Hammers thing?
Well, so you and Ridgway both got rides in the same way then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
You weren't going as far though and cutting off body parts for weight savings.
No, I didn't. Well, mine work a little bit still, so I'll keep them.
Fair enough. So I honestly don't remember the very first one very well.
Okay.
Just because, like you said, it was just a thing. And I think I was in school. I'm pretty sure it was in the middle of the week.
It was on a Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday. I don't remember. I think it was on a Thursday, and it was. I mean, it's just like the impromptu. Dave dropped his arms. Mm-hmm. Some photographer, don't remember the company, I think mooned us, and we hauled ass in a cloud of dust. And I had never met Scott Ellinger before, and all I heard was a V8 in front of me screaming and him not lifting. I knew I couldn't see anything. I was wearing a half-shell helmet, no window nets, and I knew that there was other cars around, and I could hear those V8s screaming as well. Mm-hmm. And it was the first time I was truly scared in a race car. We got through it, and we got it. And it was a great time.
And if I remember correctly, that car was on like 48s, wasn't it? Rockstar?
No, it was on 42s maybe. It was 42? Maxus, I think, and I think maybe 42s. I don't think it was that big, but it was an unlimited. It had rear steer, mm-hmm. and it was 2-inch air shocks. That I know for sure. With 2 inches of up travel. It was not pleasant.
Back then you were taller than me, and then you rode that race.
That may have been the case, yes.
It was all downhill from there.
Maybe. So
going back to that race, though, JR is the one that won it.
Yes.
You know, I didn't realize how advanced that car was until I saw it not that long ago. But it was a portal rear steer car. Yeah. Which is what the cars are nowadays. Like it's funny how the technology goes back and forth like that.
It's kind of like the all-wheel drive trucks that came out in the 80s and 90s mm-hmm. for trophy trucks and the buggies. The one that Frank built and all that. You look at it and you're like, ooh, but then you look at it and go, ooh, So it's way ahead of its time, but still not all there yet.
Wasn't there to actually.
That Bronco is very similar to that. Mm-hmm. I think that was the Falar boys built that for him. I think.
I believe it. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't remember, but yeah.
I've slept since then.
You sleep a lot, like every day almost.
A little bit. I wouldn't go that far.
Okay. All right. So, as much as it doesn't sound like it, this is not an interview about King of the Hammers. This is an interview about Baily Cole. What I'm trying to get to is, so we race King of the Hammers, and then how did you involve your love for racing and or rock crawling? Because was it just being around your dad and the other people that you were around were the Tin Benders, which is a great group of guys, still a great group of guys.
Yep. I'm actually a part of the Tin Benders.
Good
now.
for you.
Yeah.
That's good.
More camp tenders at this point. Sorry, guys.
Oh, he just went there, but that's okay. It's okay.
But no, a ton of fun, and it actually started. Were you around back in the Forerunner days, Red Forerunner days?
I don't remember if I was there. I know I wasn't shortly thereafter, I believe.
Yeah. So when my dad first moved to SoCal, we was trying to find something for us to do on the weekends. So we got a IFS Forerunner.
Nice.
And we had a nice wood deck.
I remember the deck.
Yep. And the idea was to solid axle swap because, of course, you had to solid axle swap the Forerunner.
That's what you do.
Yeah. And only lit the deck on fire 7-8 times.
Well, at least it's not 10.
At least not 10.
Yeah.
And that was Andy Glenn back in the days.
Oh,
that
Andy,
was,
yeah.
Yep. That was up in Lake Arrowhead.
Right.
So wheeled around there a bit. We did Holcomb, Deep Creek, all the trails up there.
And you were tagging along with Dad and
lots of
everybody, and just.
I think it was literally every weekend we would go wheeling, start at noon or so.
Yeah.
And we would get dinnies at whenever we got off the trail, which
between
was
6 and 11
in the morning.
Not by that, yeah.
Yep. But no, a ton of days like that, and just so much fun. And then my dad being my dad, he decided he had to go a little bit further and further, and then we ended up down here. And after wheeling that Forerunner for a lot of years, I actually drove my first rock trail in that. I think Lower Big Johnson when I was like 4. Put it in double low, and I was standing on the seat.
Yeah, that's an early start.
Yep. But yeah, a lot of really good memories out here.
Yeah, well,
and then escalated to buggies because you couldn't just have the full body Forerunner
of course,
anymore. So
after you rub it on the rocks enough, it doesn't look like a Forerunner
it
anymore.
was very much racing at that point.
Yeah. So we're in Johnson Valley today.
Yep.
I wish I could have turned the camera around and shown the view, how green and how much plant there is, but
and it's a gorgeous day. It's like
it's so
70
beautiful.
degrees right now.
It's so nice. But the sun, being what the sun is, washed us out, so we had to turn this way.
Too nice of a day.
There's no such thing. It's good.
So yeah, that's how I really got into off-roading. It was the thing me and my dad did growing up, and that evolved a little bit. He got into more of the competing side, started King of the Hammers, and then he got the dumb idea of me racing. And
so, we have to. There's one thing before that. Yeah, there's one thing before that because I remember my first King of the Hammers was 09 when I drove. I drove in the OG with Scott Ellinger. I rode in 8 with Ellinger, and I've slept once or twice too, so I may be getting these wrong. But and then I raced my own car in 9, and I think you and Zach.
So
and
in
Cody.
08, you had Izzy Chase Team.
I didn't because that was with Ellinger. I didn't have a chase team with Ellinger, did I?
You still had a chase team.
Did I?
I believe so.
I thought that was 9 was the first year. I thought 10 was when you all had your own cars.
Maybe.
Let's just say we don't know the dates exactly, but let's just say.
The first year, it was me, Zach, and Cody Knoll.
Right.
In the
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Was that the year you guys dug the trap or not?
So I get this a lot. I didn't dig the trap.
Oh, really?
No. I was kicked out of the group because I was the young kid and I wasn't welcomed in the group.
Baily Cole did not dig the trap. All those years of me blaming him for that damn ditch that was dug across there. That was 08.
That was 08.
And Zach wasn't here my family didn't come that year.
No.
So I know for sure it was 09 was the first year.
Okay, yes.
Okay, so
Yep.
so you ran around in my Suzuki.
In 09.
How good did that thing run in the whoops? Because it was so short it didn't know they were whoops. It thought they were little jumps, and it would jump over each one of them.
I mean, from what I remember, there might have been brain damage from then, but it was a lot of fun.
And it has like 38 horsepower from the original 68, so it would go 40-ish miles an hour?
We hit 47, and that was the proudest we had ever been.
I went 75 on the 15 freeway from Washington Street in from St. George Boulevard to Washington Street, going down that hill in that car.
How did that feel?
Scary. The second time I was scared, not in a race car. Anyway.
So that was also the year that the first year of qualifying was 09, I believe. Or LCQ.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah,
And at the end of LCQ, somehow Zach, Cody, and I
remember that.
ended up.
That was the UTV, because we were joking that the Samurai is just a UTV, and we just said, "Go line up." So Zach was driving.
Go line up. And it was.
And your
3D.
dad saw it and thought it was funny.
Uh-huh.
And sent you. And the guy in front of you had forgot to put his transfer case in high or low or something, and stopped, and Zach nearly rear-ended him.
Going into back door. He was messing with it, and we caught him through the wash.
Zach says that he nearly
Zach would have
rear-ended him.
qualified, I think.
I don't think Zach could have got the Samurai up back door. It's been up back door, but I don't know that Zach could have done it at that age. Today he could.
Today he definitely could. I mean, we would have just thrown winch. And we had 2 winchers at that point. It would have been fast.
Okay. I think maybe you could have. And then the next year, you all 3 had Samurais?
The next year, all 3 of us had Samurais.
And did I print you Izzy Chase stickers for them?
Yep. So I was Izzy Chase 3 years. Well, Zach was Izzy Chase 1.
1, right.
And Cody was Izzy Chase 2.
Nice. That was fun. You guys were funny. Funny, that was
a lot
times.
of shenanigans that year.
It never stopped, just different.
That year, I do remember you losing your gas cap just in the middle of the desert and finding it.
I don't remember that, but that sounds like me.
Yeah, you already started to cut an aluminum new gas cap out of a can.
It was a Diet Coke can, I'm sure.
Probably,
Yeah. I had lots of them.
But then we found it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Or we found one.
But it was the same one. It doesn't matter, right? All right. So then you progress. And when did you start racing? Either King of the Hammers and or Desert, I don't care. I just want to know the racing part.
So, I mean, going back to family time, every year for birthdays was go-karts.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a lot
Were
of
you
fun.
there at Zach's birthday when we sent the mom home in the ambulance?
I missed that one.
Oh, yeah. We may have caused one of Zach's friends' mothers to have to leave in an ambulance. Wasn't me. I thought you were there. You weren't there. Okay. Anyway.
I might have been.
I don't remember. Okay.
Yeah. You were there when I put JT into the wall, though.
I think I was, yes.
Yeah. I was probably 10.
Yeah.
And I think it was me, you, JT, I had a whole bunch of fun people.
Yeah.
Ben, probably, for sure.
Ben was there for sure.
Yep. And JT was like, I'm going to win. And I said, I'm going to put you into the wall in turn 1. And he was like, no, you're not. JT, being him, he probably pulled a knife or something.
Yes. Well, he had it close.
He had it close, yeah. And I was like, watch. And then we went into turn 1, and I just
didn't break.
But I won the bet.
Well, do what you say you're going to do.
Yep. But first official race was King of the Hammers in 2013, which I believe was either the 2nd or 3rd year of the Everyman Challenge.
Right. In the 4Runner.
In the 4Runner, an 86 IFS Toyota 4Runner.
IFS keys. We grew to love IFS keys, didn't we?
Yeah.
The torsion keys.
The keys were always a little rough.
Yeah, it was fun.
But we tried really hard.
It was fun.
The suspension was the weak point because of the keys, but the actual ride of that car was
bad. It was better than the motor.
Yeah, way better than the motor, which was probably good for me.
Well, there may have been a reason your dad selected that.
Yeah, but a 22 RE, I think on a really good day, I got it to like 63 miles an hour. And that was downhill with a tailwind.
Yeah. But let's see, you guys raced Glen Helen in that thing. You raced lots of stuff in that, right?
Mm-hmm. So Glen Helen was a lot of fun stories there.
Yeah.
Glen Helen was my first podium.
Oh, really?
And that was the first year I started racing, and Chris Ridgway was co-driving with me for similar reasons. He was small enough, already cutting off body parts for weight savings.
I got them all.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I know. And then...
Oh, that's why you got him instead of me. Now I know.
Yeah. And he knew that track pretty well.
And I think I was course...
That was when you were...
I think I was a race director that race too.
I think so.
Maybe. I think
that might have been a little early.
Okay.
Yes. I think you were still...
I may have been racing.
You might have been racing still.
Right. Or with somebody.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Maybe with Ben.
Probably Ben or racing Ben's car or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he skipped practice with me then.
Oh.
So his first time seeing the course was when the green flag dropped. And I remember Brian Byrne was in front of me. And he was like, how far behind him did you qualify? And I was like, about a second. And he's like, so you can keep up with him? And I was like, yeah, I can keep up with him. And he said, don't keep up with him no matter what. And I was like, okay. And I kept up with him, and we got like a quarter of the way into the first lap, and we got up real tight behind him. And he was like, nerf him, get past him, nerf him.
Did you have enough bumper on that car?
We did have bumper on that car.
Okay, good.
Well, not after the nerf.
Oh, well, you had it. Now you don't, but
yeah. And so that was my first podium and my first nerf. And the best part of that is there was a really long chicane that year.
I remember.
And midway through the chicane, there was just a blacktop portion that was starting to get dug out, and the cars would do really
crazy
not
things.
good things. Yeah. But I would come in sideways, and it would hit, and it'd flick back the other way for the turn. And we'd get to the end of the race, and I was coming into there right at that like 60 miles an hour mark.
Right.
That was
topped
flat
out,
as yeah. And get to the end of the race, and Chris was like, man, I am so glad you had bead locks on this car, because I felt the tires like folding over and the rims like rubbing on the ground there. And I look at the car, look back at him, look at the car, and I'm like,
bead locks.
What bead locks? And of course that was on his side, so he was a little uncomfortable about that, but we made it through.
Hey, as long as it's after the fact.
Yeah. And we ran out of gas on the finish line in that race.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfectly engineered.
Perfectly engineered. Couldn't have made it another lap.
So you go from the 4Runner, and then what did you race after the 4Runner?
We went from the 4Runner to the Spec class car, and that was about a year and a half, 2 years later.
Yeah.
First race, I think I was racing against like Jesse and
wasn't Shannon in one that year?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't get to race Hammers.
Right.
For my first race.
You were racing
like a regional race. I think it was
Utah,
Stampede.
NorCal? Yeah, NorCal. Okay.
Yep. Which I actually stole Brian Anderson and Jason Blandon's seat that race.
Oh.
Yeah, I stole the Yukon car, sorry about.
Yeah, well, it worked out.
Yeah, but it was a ton of fun, and then kept on cruising with that. The following year, I raced the Spec car the full time, and then we did a little magic to it and dropped to 6.4 and raced it in Legends the following year.
Okay.
And that was a ton of fun. And then the following year after that, I got in a Trent Fab car for the first time.
That was a good car.
That was a good car.
It was fun.
Yep.
And the Trent Fab, was that 48 car?
That was the 48 car.
That was a good 48 car.
That was a really good 48
That was
car.
fun. That was
it
fun
really made me look like I knew what I was doing.
I still occasionally am digging through parts and I find, I know what these are from.
So, I don't know if you remember, the first day I sat in that Trent Fab car, we were out here shock tuning with you. And it was back actually through Wayne's Wash before it became Lasertown.
Right.
And I think I was doing probably 95 through the wash.
Yes.
And then I was flicking it out of the wash and landing 180 backwards.
Yes.
And then after the second or third time doing that, I started talking on the radio about how the car was cheating.
Yeah.
And I got yelled at by my dad that I had to keep both hands on the steering wheel, and I was not going to be allowed to drive that race car because it was too fast.
This is probably right after he goes through the wash as fast as the little Kawasaki will go through without a seatbelt. But of course, he's concerned about you, not him, but you.
Exactly. But that was a really fun shock tuning session. And I think both him and Dave Schneider, the owner of the car, first time I went through there, just went like that.
Oh, this is not. So that was fun. How did you do in that car? How was your?
So that was 17. That was my first year. I actually hadn't won a race before then, and I won like 5 of the 6 races in Legends class and won the championship that year by like 1 point over Brad Lovell.
Oh wow!
It was, and
Brad's a racer.
I still have to say, Brad is the most annoying person I've ever had to race against. Because no matter how good you're doing, you like diff out on one tiny little rock.
And he's right there.
And he's right there.
Yeah.
No matter what. You had the perfect day. You had to take one back up. There's Brad Lovell.
Yeah. He's talented. I've worked a lot with Brad. He's good.
He's always right there.
Yeah.
You always have to have a perfect day to beat him.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of L racing. There's enough talent in the pool that you have to have a good day.
Yeah.
Sometimes catch a little luck, and you build your own luck.
Yeah. But yeah, that was my first championship, and then the following year, I raced that same Legends car in 4400, and I think we finished top 10 in the championship that year.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And then the following year, we dropped it back down to Legends class again and won another championship. And that one was against Casey Gilbert, and that was another super close championship.
Yeah. Casey's a racer too.
Oh
man, he can go.
Sadly, that was the one that he broke his foot at the national championship race, and Eric had to get in the car for him.
I had the same break on the same foot for a different reason at the same time.
Really?
Yeah, we broke the same metatarsal Lisfranc fracture, I think it's called.
Both of you need to drink a little more milk.
It's not it. I had a car fall on me.
Okay.
When a car falls on you, and a foot's the only thing that gets broken, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah,
it didn't land on my foot either. It landed on my back, just so you know. So the car squished me like a soda can, and I was 17 inches wide, and on my foot hyperextended, and that's all that broke. And I drove home, so I get credit for.
Okay.
Right.
He was getting out of his race car.
He fell, and slipped.
Yes.
And went back, and his foot was caught.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah. No good.
But if you put all your weight on just one foot, I dare you, and fall backwards, your foot will break too.
You know the worst part about that, though?
No.
I was pulling up behind him in the car.
And you bumped him.
And I bumped him.
Oh.
After he was on the ground.
Oh.
But
so it would have been bad enough if you caused it, but then just kick a man while he's down?
Yeah.
Sorry, Casey.
He looked at me so angry. And again, I've never seen Casey angry.
I know.
And I got out of the car and I was like, I'm sorry.
But he's hurting.
And he's like, I just broke my foot. And I was like, Casey, what are you talking about? And he's like, no, I just broke my foot. And he took off his foot.
And
I was like, oh no.
I got a lot of those moments too where I'm like, I did something funny and it turned out to be just stupid.
Just real bad timing.
That's why I just tell you, those moments are the reason you can do stupid stuff or try stupid stuff, because look, I've done stuff that I can't get any more embarrassed about. So let's just do this.
Right?
Okay, so you've done some other racing. We'll finish through your Ultra 4 career, but you've done some other racing. What other racing have you done?
I've raced Baja in the Mint, few desert races like that. Raced for Honda, the Talent program for a little bit.
Oh, cool.
There. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I've been really lucky that I've gotten a few opportunities and some different seats, and it's been a lot of fun over the years.
What's your favorite racing?
Favorite racing? Like location or?
Just favorite racing. So for me, I like King and the Hammers, the race the way it was originally, even the race now, but just that is the race that's my favorite. And I've raced in Baja, and I've raced short course, and I've raced all that stuff. Short course is fun. There's nothing like short course, but it's like a whole lot of work for 16 laps.
Yeah.
And
it breaks everything.
Yeah, and you wear stuff out. But King of the Hammers, is a whole lot of work for 16 hours or 6, depending on how good you do, you know. But you have to come over. I love the King of Hammers racing. I always have and always will, because no matter what kind of surgical widget somebody builds, you're still going to have to overcome that.
100%.
And that is the equalizer, right? And
yeah.
the way that your dad and Jeff set up, and I know it's not about them, but set up the no chase to try and keep it fair. Now it's a little unfair for you and I, honestly, because you know we're sitting here looking at it. We can go drive around and see stuff, and when the course goes through there, we know how to go there, and we have the paint can line, and we have the widget line, and you know, and they're just there. But
my favorite co-driver to date was actually Jason Shear, the first year I got.
Oh, I can only imagine.
And it was because we're literally sitting talking like this.
Yes.
Doing 95 through whoops, passing people. And we'd be in dust and literally couldn't see the bumper, and we're just hauling. And Jason's like, slow down here. And I slow down, and I'm like, what's going on? And just big 5-foot G. And like, it's like, oh, cool. And we're cruising.
Because you know it so well.
And I slow down, and he's like, why are you slowing down? 5-foot G out. And he's like, I missed that one. Like, we were just in like that.
And nothing like, when you're clicking with a co-driver, there's nothing like it.
And then we were getting to the rock trails, and we were on like outer limits, just cruising through, and we were already talking about spooners, and we were like, so you know spooners, when you drop down between the V-notch waterfall, do you take the right line or the left line? And we're talking about that cruising through outer limits.
Where outer limits used to be a whole day affair. Yeah, it's crazy what King of the Hammer's done when we're going to run Wrecking Ball today. What else? Wrecking Ball. And then we're going to all try to be back by dinner.
Maybe. There were a lot of Wrecking Ball trips that we were not back by dinner.
We were not back by dinner. Then the car still, we may have been back by dinner, but the truck didn't make it back.
No. Lots of times where my hand was the one that fit in the gas can, so I had to.
I woke up on outer limits. I woke up with my wife and kids looking at me after the high lift jack hit me in the chin.
Oh.
The handle. Remember, people don't kill people. High lifts kill people.
I believe that.
Yeah, that was bad. It's just, and then I'm done.
Yeah. Oh man. So favorite race, going back to that.
Yeah.
King of Portugal, I think.
Oh, you did race in Europe, didn't you?
I did.
Well, what was cool about it? Just the scenery, the history,
So, all the above. It was, we were racing over a bridge that I think literally Napoleon's army built. Like
that don't suck.
Yeah, no, that
it may suck, but if you knock it over, but
yeah.
See, I would miss it. I would do what happened in the Baltimore Bridge, and I would knock it over by losing power or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we would get on literally WRC roads, so just flat out edge of control, but just beautiful roads through vineyards and castles, and then
cool.
You would drop into this rock section called Dinosaur Eggs, and it was legitimately just giant round rocks about the size of this building, and thousands of them. And you would just kind of pick your way through and over.
How cool.
And it was just
I never saw that. Oh, awesome.
Really, really cool event. And then you'd come back to the pits and just the people there.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about you. I'll just ask. I'll just say and then I'll ask. I find the people in racing, especially desert, Ultra 4, that kind of racing, are some of the best people. There are a few that aren't, but for the most part, just the best people ever.
I agree.
Yeah.
100%. And a lot of this interview is talking about racing and that kind of stuff.
This is not an interview.
Okay.
This is just a conversation.
This conversation.
There you go.
Yeah. It is about racing, but that's because it's become my life. And because it's good people.
Don't point to me when you say that.
You're the best.
All right, so you've done racing, a little bit of desert racing, a little bit of other stuff. So your favorite race, King of Portugal.
Yeah, with a close second being out here.
Yeah. Cool. Well, cool.
Glen Helen was up there too.
Yeah, Glen Helen was different.
Yeah.
Glen Helen was.
I think
especially
it was
in the cars we were racing in
back then. Yeah.
Because they weren't really meant to do that, so you were on the edge to be painfully slow, but you feel like you're going fast because you always feel like you're going to be fast if you feel like you're going to die. Yeah. And some people had it figured out. I remember Blanton being really fast out there. Remember Shear being really fast out there?
Shear, Lauren, Nelson.
Yeah, yeah. Nick was fast. Lauren's fast everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
Cool.
I remember Shear driving the tires off his car, I think in back-to-back years there.
Yeah. That guy's next level.
Super fun though.
So then
Zach actually co-drove for me a few times there.
he did. Yep.
Yep.
I know he co-drove. I know he co-drove for you when I was the race director.
Yes.
And I was in the tower and watched you drive by with 50 feet of fence trailing behind. Not that we're
So-
going to talk about that.
To be fair, it was the best outcome for the situation.
I'm not saying.
So, a couple stories from that race. We were chasing down Ricky Johnson. Who knows who that guy is? And
I never.
I mean,
But you know, he calls me once in a while, needs something. I answer for the phone for him. But you know,
I think that was his first or second lap around Glen Helen, so
yeah,
he didn't know it very well.
yeah. He doesn't have corners named after him or anything.
No, all of them. I think standing in the awards, I was standing over the Ricky star.
Yeah.
But chasing him down there was a tough task, but we were trying our best at it, and we were going through a chicane, and the car came up on the bike, and we were flying through the air. And I remember thinking, oh, this isn't good, because I think this was like the first or second lap. Way too early to be doing silly things that.
Yeah.
But we landed, as we were rolling, I felt just the front tire
touching.
I felt it in the wheel, and I matted it, and it flipped and landed. However, it landed so hard, we exploded a wheel and tire.
Okay.
So it wasn't a very pleasant hit. I think that was top 5 for both me and Zach at the time.
I had forgotten Ricky raced spec cars. I remember talking to him about the spec cars and figuring out this and that and all that. And I do a lot of work for him. He has a really good coaching program where he coaches and does driving schools. And it's crazy when you get a good driver like he or Rob or Chuck Dempsey or some of the other guys. You come out and they're like, I've wanted to do this and this and this. And the way they talk, you can just understand. Okay, I know what to do.
Yeah.
So there's a question for you.
Okay.
You've done a couple of shock tuning days with me.
1 or 2.
And you've done some shock tuning with other people, I think, which it's okay. Yeah. You need to work with everybody. So how do you find communicating with me and or others? What could you tell people that they may learn from communication with a shock tuner and or anybody that's tuning or working on the car? Like what's
So I think that's probably the most important part of probably motorsports in general is being able to find that communication. And that's honestly why I will always come back to you,
I
because
appreciate that.
you can watch me go by and know exactly what's going on, and I can come back and I can say this is what's going on, and you understand what I'm saying, and then you do Wayne magic, and then I drive again and it's 10 times better.
Not always, but sometimes.
The one time, do you remember me almost losing the car on Pummel Pass?
I don't.
So it was KOH week. I think it was either 18 or 19. It was my second or third year in the Trent Fab car.
Okay.
And I came out, and it was right when we got the new valves in the Legends car, like the coolers.
Oh, we had the coolers. Oh, yeah. Okay. The DSC and the
There
coolers
was
and all
something
that.
wrong with the DSC, and it was very, very soft in the rear. And I came out, and I was like,
Yes.
Wayne, it is very soft. And you were like, well, just run it once. And I was like, okay. And I got to the first big hole in
And it wasn't
Pummel.
even a big hole, but it was a big enough hole.
Yeah. And it hit, and it went into the second.
Oh, yeah.
And then it went into
It doesn't
the
get
third.
better after that.
And I remember being like, it felt past 90. It was probably 75, 80 degrees.
Yeah,
but it was,
but this is-
the front stinger was just about
Yeah.
kissing on the
This
ground.
is where we're going to crash, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I come back around, and you were like, if it's ever that bad again, just say, Wayne, it needs to be fixed. And I was like, aye.
So communication is key. Okay. Well, so then, so we've been shock tuning, and I've said before, it's always the job of the shock tuner, in my opinion, to listen to what the driver says and figure out what he means by that from a cause and effect standpoint. I get a lot of people that say, it's too harsh, too harsh, too harsh. Not too harsh, they're just feeling hit the bump stop, and that happens. I say that a lot, and people hear that a lot, but that happens so often.
Or the other way, it's way too soft, we're just blowing through and they're only using an inch of travel.
Yeah, because they never feel it. But it's nice to have worked so much with you, because I feel like even this year, we were able to make strides, and it was nice just because with so much time, the communication gap is very small. How do you do this and this? When I say Scrabble, you don't understand you don't think, what is Scrabble? You know exactly what I'm saying, and all those weird things. So that's good.
No, and it makes it so much easier. And I honestly have full trust in you out there. Like, I know.
I got you fooled, don't I?
It works. I have you fooled. You'll get in a car with me. So
I got in a car with you?
I know, that's what I'm saying. I have you fooled that I know what I'm doing.
Okay.
Yeah. We're fooling each other.
I don't know. I've ridden in plenty of cars with you. I'll ride with you.
Still not in a race, which I'm still sad
all
about.
You need to do is tell me before, like, the week of the race.
Then I actually have to plan ahead.
Yes.
And you've been around me in my life long enough, that.
It's not going to happen at King of the Hammers, I'm going to guarantee you. But, pick another one and say, hey, what are you doing on?
Okay.
I've sputtered for you at Crandon.
You have, which is always helpful.
A couple of times. We haven't been able to talk on the radios, but one time I think I sputtered well. You could hear me and I could hear you. That was good.
I think we won that one.
We did. I think more than once, but
a couple of times.
No, not
you were my spotter this year both times.
Not this year, but last year. Yes.
You weren't this last year?
This last year, but we're in 2024 now. We haven't been to Crandon yet.
Yeah.
I'm just semantics, I know, but
now you're confusing me.
Yeah,
we need to work on our communication.
Listen to what I'm saying. Do you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth?
No.
So
Crandon is it is one of my favorite tracks and least favorite tracks all at the same time.
So Crandon is incredible in a car that that's made to do that.
Yeah.
Crandon in a Swiss Army knife is still incredible, don't get me wrong. But it's a different kind of horrifying.
Yeah. So I came into Crandon in the old IFS Trent Fab car.
Yeah.
And you know how they do the tractor tires on the outside of turn one?
Yeah.
I can tell you 93 miles an hour is okay. And you just sit up on the bank. And
You're right in the cushion?
Yep. 95 miles an hour.
Only two.
Only two. You're weaving in between tractor tires at 90 miles an hour.
Not good. I have a question for you about Crandon.
Yeah.
Did you go fishing once there?
I did. Which is the reason it's not my favorite track. Still a little bit of...
So what happened? Tell us that story.
Okay, so if you go back and watch the video, because I still have it up on my social channels and stuff. So I'm coming down and we're jumping off kind of the sand embankment back out into that back area.
Right, yep.
And Jeff McKinley was the car in front of me, and he did a nice little pirouette off the top rope there.
Okay.
So I was cruising down, he's on his roof, and it was pitch black dark that night. I cruise around him, and it's dustier than all get up back there as well. And I see a safety vehicle coming backwards at me, which if you watch the video, you can see the flashing lights again. So I step out to the side, and I know I'm going right towards a bridge in between two ponds there. And I'm like, there's no way a safety car would be going on this singular safe place over there in a dusty course in the middle of the night. So I'll just step out to the side, and there's going to be ground over here.
There is, but it's under the water.
Yeah. And then it went from safety lights to dust to splash, all relatively quickly.
And in the video, it looks like it takes you a minute to get out.
Yeah, so in the video, you can't even see. When you watch the video, it's just black under there, which is all I saw too. Which was not the most fun thing.
And you are underwater
Underwater, strapped
car.
into a race car.
in safety gear with window nets and a shield, a debris
rock
shield, so you
Yep.
can't go through the windshield.
No, which I made that mistake. So I like to think of myself as a fairly calm individual.
Right, yep.
Yep.
Mhm.
So I remember seeing the safety car, knowing that the water was there, but being like, I'm going to be okay. And then I stepped out to the side, and then I saw the water at the last second, and I actually turned off the car before I hit the water, which we raced the next day because of it, because I saved the motor. But my brain wasn't, worried
Calm,
about
thinking about the car, but not you. Not hitting the eject button or anything,
Yeah.
just turn off the car. Okay.
But I hit the water, and I remember going into the water being like, oh, this is going to be, 3-4 feet deep. This is going to suck. But, oh well, I'll drive out of it, and we'll keep on going, or I killed the motor, and
Yeah.
it'll suck, but I'll keep going. And then I was just underwater, and I sat there for a second, and I was like, huh, this is really unpleasant.
This is not good.
This is not good. So I undid my seatbelts, and I had, the mechanical latch. I wasn't cam locks or anything, and I pull it apart because, those sometimes get stuck.
Hitch a little bit, yeah.
Yep, so I threw those, and I remember sitting there, and at that point I'd been under for probably 20 seconds or so. It felt like 17 years.
Long time.
The water was also like 30 degrees. So I grabbed the steering wheel.
It can't be 30 degrees. It would have been hard. Let's go to 40 degrees.
40 degrees.
Okay.
It was very cold.
Yes.
It was chilly.
Yeah.
Grabbed the wheel, and I pulled myself up because I thought I was going to go through the windshield. And I hit my head on the mesh. And I
you're
was
like, oh yeah.
oh. So I grabbed the wheel and pushed myself all the way back in the seat because that's where I have the muscle memory because I still can't see anything.
Yeah.
I reach up, find my window net, pop that off, and then I just grab the upper window and I yank myself out of the car and like pull the head and...
Could you get high enough standing on the car to get out of the water, or did you have to swim?
I had to swim.
Oh, geez.
Uh-huh.
In a race suit, soaking wet with a helmet.
Yeah.
Fun.
It was, yeah. And might have to delete this, Kathleen. The reason, the safety crew there, which drove backwards at race course at me, then also were standing on the shore yelling things at me, which ear cups, and I couldn't understand what was. So I'm like trying my best. Yeah, everything on. I get close enough to the shore that I start to feel stuff underneath me, and I stand up. And the guy was like, I was trying to tell you could stand up. And I was like, thanks, buddy.
I'm glad I could stand up, and I may have figured that eventually, but...
It would have been nice for a little bit of help.
Why don't you walk out and get me?
Yeah.
Oh, well. Oh, well.
It happens.
That wasn't bad. We're not going to delete that.
And then I got told that my car was staying in there overnight. And I said, not gonna happen.
Yeah,
So
no
we found a chain, and nobody else was willing to jump in the water. So I had to go.
You already went!
Basically. So I went back in through the chain on the car, which I actually had to dive under the water to chain the car and pull it back. And then I surfed the roof of the car out of the pond, which I think ended up on some of those fun channels.
That's a race story you don't see everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't hear everywhere, do you? In the water. Wow.
But then we took out all the fluids of the car overnight, put them all back in, and I raced the next day.
And it ran and did fine?
Yeah. So the impact of hitting the water was so hard that the torque converter bolts all cracked, and one of them sheared, which we didn't realize until firing it up the next morning. We fired it up and one of the bolts just dropped, and we realized what it was, but we were lining up for the race, so it was kind of like, we'll just see how long it goes. Levi Shirley was in second place, I believe, and I was in third right behind him, and I was setting up a pass. It's Potawatomi turn.
Potawatomi turn, yeah.
Yeah, the 90 after
at the
the
bottom,
chicane.
yeah.
Yep. I had been setting it up, going wide for like 2 or 3 laps, and I finally got him to bite on wide, and I slid right up underneath him, and I got the best pull
Oh, cool.
I have up the back straight, and I went from second to third, and then
they
the
let
car
go.
went to 13,000 RPM because all the
0 to 0.
and I pulled off right in that
Yeah, that's good.
exit. But it was a really fun second day.
Yeah,
until
yeah.
It wasn't.
Well, at least you got to do something.
Uh-huh.
So racing, what's your plans in racing moving forward? Do you have anything, or you just...
So I'm working with Ford right now, which is
Cool.
an awesome program.
Yeah.
Doing that as much as I can. Just started working with Jegs as well, which is
Cool.
really fun. I was their first attempt into the off-road marketplace. They've always done drag racing and that kind of stuff. That's pretty exciting to be launching that
program. They've done off-road just kind of vicariously because we buy what we can from them and then put it in off-road vehicles. But now they're actually trying to get in. Okay.
Yep. So that's really exciting, working on that marketing with them. I also went to school for marketing.
Yeah.
Graduated with
in Flagstaff?
In Flagstaff,
Right,
yeah. Went to NAU.
Okay.
Graduated, and then I was the marketing manager up at Yukon and Randy's for a while.
2 years, right?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Yep.
You were my phone a friend for a little while there. You're still on my phone a friend, but when I had questions.
Now I'm less.
No, I'll still use you. I need a phone a friend. I'm going to call whether you know or not. At least we'll get to talk a little bit.
Fair enough. There was always a lot smarter people there than me.
Well, I mean, it's
but I tried
it's not what you know, it's who.
Yeah. Now I just moved back out here, and I'm going to start doing some driving school stuff.
Cool. Nice. Well,
So-
if you need a old building with a concrete floor, let me know.
Well, definitely part of the package might be some shock tuning.
Okay, well, we can work that out. That'd be good. Yep. Yep, that'd be good.
Yeah.
What else you got planned in the future?
With racing and then starting that new business, that's definitely going to be most of my time. But definitely some fun in there, hopefully, too. Doing the Ultra 4 Series this year. Possibly the Baja 1000 again.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. And you raced Baja in...
Last year I was with the SXOR team.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yep. How did you do?
It was a little bit of a rough one, but we had a lot of really good stories out of it. Which
most people don't remember what they took place unless they won. But you always remember that time when I made a fuel pump out of a fire extinguisher. Yeah, you'll remember 100%. That stuff. Yeah. Oh, cool. And then what else you got in the future? What did we miss? What do we need to talk about?
I don't know. What did we miss?
I don't think so. I think we could probably do this for days, but I only have 4 hours on the camera. So,
is there anything that you want to talk about? Any questions you have for this non-interview?
I've asked all my questions. I just wanted to have a conversation.
Yeah. What are your future stuff? Are you doing anything fun besides all the YouTube? You know what we do have to do?
Yes.
So I've been doing a sim race, E-Series.
Okay.
And currently, I'm the best shock tuner is part of the game. So
you're a competitor now. I can't air this interview.
Oh, man.
Nah, kidding. So we had talked about this before. Yeah, I want to do that. And what happens is that we're both busy and we never get together. So how do we set that up?
Next time you're in Temecula or Murrieta, let me know and have free time.
Ooh, well, the Menifee or Murrieta or Temecula every day. Free time? I don't know.
Yeah, but I have a whole sim setup there in Temecula.
Okay, all right. So let's get together and we'll do. So tell me what we're doing. Shock tuning on a simulator?
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's a new one.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll set that up. It'll be good.
Yep. And I'll even let you pick the vehicle. I mean, we got UFOs, a goat-built chassis.
I will.
A few other random ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give you a challenge.
We'll figure it out. I don't know. It's the same thing. You just kind of figure it out. Poke it there. That didn't work. Go the other way.
I mean, that's all I do.
Yeah, that's all you can do. All right. Well, for me, I'm doing YouTube. It's been fun. It's stepping way out of my comfort zone. It's it's not what I do every day, but it's been fun. And then just shock tuning, and I've been working on a new shock. Got the patent, got everything worked. I got some prototypes going. A couple of cars behind us have been testing them. We're trying to figure that out, but it's just a slow burn. It's so hard to do something.
Are we going to put
now.
it on a Bronco at some point?
We can do that. Yeah, we can do
This
that.
is cool.
You know, somebody has one, do you?
I might.
Okay.
Looking for any advantage over.
We can figure that out.
Appreciate.
Baily, thank you very much, and I really appreciate your friendship and you sitting down with me.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir. And that's what I'm going to do. So, Baily, thanks for sitting down with me. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate. Wow, cut that, honey.
Really appreciate.
That was good. I just hope it went the whole time. The battery is dying.
Is it dying?
That was brand new battery.
Oh, so we were down.
All right. We can move around a little bit. Kind of want to be facing each other a little bit.
Just kind of
like we're shooting the shit. We don't care about the camera, right?
kind of like between two ferns, but between two UTVs.
Sure.
Dude, Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah, no.
No.
I'm not gonna. No.
No, not going there.
No, movies. No, if you get past like 1992, movies, no.
Well, it's YouTube. It's not even movies.
See. Oh, well, no, then you'll have to tell me who to look at.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to do an entry.
Okay.
I'll not cross my legs and be stupid.
No?
We can do whatever we want. It's just, you're just shooting the shit.
Okay.
It's really just shooting the shit.
Cool.
Okay? Kathleen's going to show all this stuff, by the way. She's my editor.
Oh, so this is all downhill
this is all
from here.
Yeah, it's going to be great.